When I was 8 years old, one of our neighbors, a psychiatrist, pulled me aside and told me, "Your parents are depressed." Very depressed. I was like, yeah, duh, I knew that. My parents weren't like my friends' parents. They were Holocaust survivors. As kids, they'd both escaped from actual, real Nazis in Germany. They were defined by this trauma, always paranoid, always convinced that something bad was going to happen to us. One time, they wouldn't let me go to a kid's backyard sprinkler birthday party because they'd read somewhere that you could drown in an inch of water. I knew all about Uncle Walter and Aunt Pauline and Grandma Marta, how they hadn't made it out. And in our living room, we had a big picture of Uncle Walter, always a reminder. But when our neighbor said that to me, I was so embarrassed. It was one thing for me to know about my parents, but another thing altogether for the neighborhood to think about us as that weird Holocaust family. I had to do something. I was their only child. I was a first-generation American, unscarred by war. It was my job to cheer them up and to make us less weird. I knew I needed to do something. I needed to get us to Disney World. It was the happiest place on earth, according to the ads. We needed a big dose of optimism and joy, and that's where all the happy, shiny American people went, and I wanted to be just like them. Because my parents followed my lead on anything to do with American popular culture, they agreed. And I agreed to all of their conditions. No roller coasters, no rides where we might fall out or hit our heads or lose a limb. When we got to the Magic Kingdom, my parents were shocked by the crowds and the employees dressed as Mickey Mouse, Goofy. I was not to interact with those people, they said, because the people who take those kinds of jobs are the same people who try to hurt small children. They're very dangerous because you can't see their faces. I insisted that we start with the best ride of all, the most popular attraction in the park, the spectacular Haunted Mansion. The line was really long, and by the time we got to the front of it, my parents were in a really bad mood. I was excited. We went into the mansion, got ushered into the portrait parlor, and there my parents and I, along with the big crowd we were in, looked at the framed faces on the wall, and a spooky voice said we were descending. And as we slowly moved down, the faces on the wall, the portraits started to stretch, revealing bodies that were in various states of torture and imminent death. One was sinking into quicksand, another about to be gobbled up by an alligator. This isn't funny, I thought. It's terrifying. And when that spooky voice said something like, "And there's no way out, moo-ha-ha-ha-ha," I pretty much lost my shit. I howled and I thrashed at the people around us again and again, like we were a giant mosh pit. That spooky voice had underestimated me because I did get out. The handlers were upon us in moments. And as everyone else got into their doom buggy to do the ride like normal people, my parents and I were being escorted out of the haunted mansion, through a secret exit, and out into the glaring Florida light. My fear of the haunted mansion immediately shifted to fear of my parents. I'd made them fly to Orlando for this. The sun exposure, no place to sit, all the people who had coughed on us in line, and now this. I'd humiliated them. They started walking quickly, and I followed them, bracing myself. Then they stopped in front of a restaurant, and my father asked me whether I wanted an ice cream. And my mother said, "She can have as many ice creams as she wants." They weren't mad. They were relieved. They'd been scared too, or at least miserable. It was like I had taken one for the team and gotten us the fuck out of there. We laughed. We ate ice cream. They were the happiest they'd been since we'd entered the park. I had brought them joy, just not in the way that I'd expected. Those pictures on the wall made me think about Uncle Walter, and they unleashed a place inside me that knew real danger, the danger that my parents knew so well. They were happy because I understood their unhappiness. And I knew I'd go home and still feel bad that we were that weird Holocaust family. But in that moment, we were like a freaky version of a perfect family on a perfect vacation. We didn't need the haunted mansion. We had our own haunted split level that we were going home to together. Thank you.